To order for June 26, 2023. This is a joint meeting in the following community facilities districts: Community Facilities District, General District Number 1, Palm Valley Community Facilities District Number 3, Community Facilities Utilities District Number 1, Wildflower Ranch Community Facilities District, Wildflower Ranch Community Facilities District Number 2, Flower Community Facilities District, Estrella Mountain Ranch Community Facilities District, King Ranch Community Facilities District, Centerra Community Facilities District, Cortina Community Facilities District. We have roll call.
Check in yours on your screen, present.
Everybody there? Oh, sorry.
Let the record reflect that all members are present.
Thank you. Let's see. Now is the time for citizens who would like to address the CFD board on any non-agenda items within the jurisdiction of the board. Any speaker cards for CFD?
No, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Will the city clerk please read consent agenda items 1 through 11 by title only?
Number 1, approval of minutes. Number 2, adopt resolutions. Community Facilities General District Number 1, Resolution 2023-197. Number 3, Palm Valley Community Facilities District Number 3, Resolution 2023-073. Number 4, Community Facilities District Number 1, Resolution 2023-124. Number 5, Wildflower Ranch Community Facilities District, Resolution 2023-087. Number 6, Wildflower Ranch Community Facilities District Number 2, Resolution 2023-082. Number 7, Cotton Flower Community Facilities District, Resolution 2023-079. Number 8, Estrella Mountain Ranch Community Facilities District, Resolution 2023-158. Number 9, King Ranch Community Facilities District, Resolution 2023-054. Number 10, Centerra Community Facilities District, Resolution 2023-081. Number 11, Cortina Community Facilities, Resolution 2023-074. Levying upon the assessed valuation of the property within the district subject to ad valorem taxation a certain sum upon each $100 of assessed valuation sufficient to raise the amounts estimated to be required in the annual budget, all for the fiscal year ending the 30th day of June 2024.
Thank you. And does anyone on the board wish to remove an item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, go ahead and enter a motion. I see a motion and a second. Go ahead and open the voting. Passes 7-0. We will be going straight into the regular meeting, so there will be no further business to discuss this. This meeting is adjourned.
Welcome to the Goodyear City Council meeting. We're excited to have you be a part of this important public process. Tonight, you will have the opportunity to address City Council on both non-agenda and agenda items. The agendas and speaker request cards are located in the back of the council chambers. You must fill out a speaker request card in order to address the City Council. Please drop your completed card in the tray next to the blank speaker cards. If the meeting has already begun, please hand it to the officer. You may check the "I do not wish to speak" option on the card. This allows you to still voice your opinion on an item on the record without having to speak. In accordance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, please contact a staff member if you need any assistance. Public comment on a non-agenda item will take place during the citizen comment portion of the evening. These are items that don't appear on tonight's formal agenda. The city clerk will call your name when it's time for you to speak. At that time, please approach the podium and tell us your name for the record. You'll have a maximum of 3 minutes. The timer is on the screens visible from the podium. Note that you may also choose not to speak if other speakers before you have said what you wanted to say. Shouting, cheering, and loud noises will not be tolerated, and violators may be removed for disrupting the meeting. Goodyear City Council meetings stream live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and online at goodyearaz.gov. Follow the city's social media pages so you don't miss out on all that's happening in Goodyear. Thank you for coming to this meeting and being an active part of your city. And remember, it's a great time to be in Goodyear.
I'd like to call the regular meeting to order for June 26, 2023. Roll call, all here?
Let the record reflect all members are present.
Thank you. Please join Councilmember Hampton in the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, thank you, Lord, for blessing us so much with the people and the residents and the city of Goodyear, Lord. I pray, Lord, that you'll be with the staff here at the city, the public safety as they're out on the streets, Lord, and also our military here and abroad. I just thank you for, once again, just blessing the city of Goodyear for being such a great place to live and that people want to live, Lord, and that we have such a free country, Lord, that we're able to participate actively in civil discord, Lord, within the process, Lord, of our government, Lord. I also pray, Lord, for wisdom as we are making decisions that affect our citizens today and in the future. Just help us to make the best decisions that are best for our citizens. So thank you, Lord, and in your name, amen.
Thank you, Councilmember Hampton. Let's see, we have one communication item tonight. Chief Rodriguez, come on down. Forward for the presentation, honor Sergeant Sean Clark for his 29 years of service.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'd like to take a minute and talk about Sergeant Clark's 29 years that he's given to our city here in service, but I need to step back a few more years because he's actually been in law enforcement for 35 years. Yeah. So I'd like to take a moment and just go down memory lane, as you can see already. So Sergeant Clark's law enforcement career started at the Arizona Department of Corrections back in 1987, where he worked there until 1994. So in 1994, Sergeant Clark was hired with us as a full-time officer and has been here ever since, serving our wonderful community. Sergeant Clark was responsible for starting and building our canine unit with our first dog, Roscoe, in 1995. Sergeant Clark worked in the canine unit and with the SWAT team from about 1995 to 2015. So while he was in that canine unit, he went from a canine officer to our first promoted canine sergeant in 2012. So Sergeant Clark also served on the Arizona Law Enforcement Canine Association Training and Standards Committee. He's also received numerous awards over his canine career. I could be up here all night talking about them. However, I did notice a couple of notable awards. One was first place handler protection at the Phoenix Trials, first place in building searches, first place in area search, first place in the top agency dog for detection at Mesa Trials, first place in narcotics detention at the Las Vegas Canine Trials, second place in building searches, and second place overall narcotics detention at the Desert Dog Trials. So Sergeant Clark transitioned to patrol as a sergeant from 2015 to 2019. After 2019, he took over our community services unit. So while in the community services unit, he implemented our National Night Out last year. I believe it was our first event here at our new City Hall. So that highlighted our department and also our community and got us all together. So under Sergeant Clark's direction in the Community Services Unit, he has been responsible for our other community events like our Citizens Police Academy, as you can see some of the pictures scrolling through, our Coffee with a Cop to include our first evening event. He listened to our community. They wanted something in the evening, so he made it happen. He also did our first Pizza with the Police down in Estrella Mountain Ranch, where we got to interact with the citizens down there, and also our Burgers and Badges. All these events we've had an ability to connect with our citizens and our youth to interact with our officers in a relaxed environment. So like he hasn't done enough just recently, I gave him a little bit more to do. He has also been helping us serve as our police information officer in communicating with our public through our media partners regarding information and significant events that happen out there. Once again, being on call 24/7, because you never know what's going to happen when. Sergeant Clark, we thank you for your 35 years of service and 29 of those years here at the Goodyear Police Department. While it's hard to see him retire from the department, he will always be part of our Goodyear family. And with that, congratulations on a fantastic career, and I'd like to ask the mayor to come down and present something special to you on behalf of the city.
Lighten the mood.
Sergeant Clark, on behalf of the residents of Pebble Creek, we want to thank you for all of your support of the Shop with the Cop and for the Pebble Creek Cone Tour. You've been such an instrumental part to make this work for our kids and for our community, and for that, we just thank you so very, very much.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Councilmember Sit.
Hey, sorry, Sean, you're not going to get away that easy. You're probably one of the few people that have worked here longer than myself or the mayor, probably, with as long as you've been at the police department. I'm going to say we go far enough back that our kids hung out at one point throughout our lives, but your dedication to this city has been by far outstanding, and one that hopefully many of the new officers, which you and I both don't know anymore, but hopefully your example has set a great way forward. I'm sorry I won't be able to join you on Thursday, but I am very grateful to have known you these many years, and wish you the very, very best in what I think is a peaceful retirement coming forward. Thank you.
Go ahead, Sharon.
Sean, you're not going to get away without me saying something. I want to say honor, loyalty, and follow through is what describes you. You're a great guy. You're a great cop. You're what we'd like a lot of cops to try to be like you. Thank you for your service. Thanks for everything you've done. And have a great retirement. You're welcome.
Go ahead, Sharon. Hold on,
You can't go yet.
hold on.
You got some more praise to load on you. Thank you so much for three decades, with the city, and 3 decades with the same place. You do not see that a lot. You've seen us grow, and your work has made us become where we are, and our police department where it is, because people like you and all the effort and energy you put into it. So from the bottom of my heart, we hate to lose you, because everything you do with the community, but thank you so much, and we know you won't go far, and we will see you around, I am sure. So have a wonderful retirement. It is well deserved.
Thank you. Yep, you're good. It's okay to go now. Our second item is to approve the appointments and reappointments of boards, commissions, committees. We don't have a presentation on this, but if you have any questions, please let the motion and a second go through. But who's coming down for that? You?
Darcy.
Go ahead and do the vote, and then you'll come down presentation. All right, go ahead, open it up. Pass 7-0, and come on down.
So if I could be joined down here by Azias Bird, Chrislyn Lyons, Emily McGee, Emma Yokopis. So if you guys could just line up here. And then also Omar Abdul Gawad, Corina Gutierrez, Alexander Godbold, Mia Ashe, Caden Keller, Ethan Murillo, Sebastian Orozco, Annalicia Ortiz, Arya Singh, Amira Singh, Alina Torres, and Skylar Turner.
Our wonderful youth commission. I hope so.
Okay, so we're going to do the official swearing in. So repeat after me. Not the raise your right hand, but after that. Raise your right hand. So I state your name. All of you at the same time. Do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of Commissioner according to the best of my ability. So I do affirm. Thank you very much, and congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Youth Commission.
Darcy, tell them they're members of the youth commission. They don't even know what they are.
So this is actually the youth commissioners, and they did go through a whole interview process. They had to submit applications with references, and they were interviewed by the subcommittee from the council, and they did have to go through a poll process. So.
Can you just hold on before everybody leaves? I know the council would like to say a few words about the Youth Commission. Who do we want to start?
Oh.
Which end?
Okay.
Anybody down here on this side?
I'll start.
Okay.
All right, I sit on the boards and commissions with, I sit on the boards and commissions committee with Vice Mayor Kano and Councilmember Laurentano. It's such a competitive process, but it's so wonderful to see these young people step up and want to be a part of their community. All of them have worked so very hard at school. They're coming in with excellent grades, excellent recommendations, and they have wonderful ideas on how to move this city forward, what they want to see for their kids their age, what they want to see to raise their families with. And this new generation is just so inspiring, and we're so proud of them, and we thank every single one of them and their parents for allowing them to have this opportunity to become a part of the Goodyear family. So thank you all very much, kids. Have a great summer, and we'll see you in September.
I want to thank all the members of our Youth Commission. Be prepared for an awesome experience. The learning that we are going to learn from you just as much you will learn from us. And I think it is great to see all of you involved, like Councilmember Campbell said, you are an exemplary group of students and young people, and I'm sure our future is in very good hands with you all because you are just outstanding in every way. And I'm glad I got the chance to meet you, and we'll get to work together some more as you're on the commission. So, and thank you, the parents that have come today and are letting us borrow your children for a while. So thank you very much.
There's not much to add on that except today, to me personally, what makes this a great community is we have a lot of faith in our young people, and it's a good example of what we have coming up. Again, this is excellent to see you all stepping up and giving of your community. And like Councilmember Loretano and Councilmember Campbell says, you're going to have a great time moving forward and learn how government operates. So congratulations. All right, now it's time for citizens who would like to address the City Council on any non-agenda item within the jurisdiction of City of Goodyear. Any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
All right, with that, non-agenda item?
Non-agenda?
Non-agenda? All right. You know the drill.
Thank you. I did put a card in.
It's probably in the stack.
Okay, sorry. Good evening, Mayor Pizzillo and members of the council. My name is, oh, you
Can you
can't hear
tap the bottom there, the base?
this?
Yeah. No?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Just
I'll
get
talk a little
closer
louder
is all.
too. Okay, good evening, Mayor Pizzillo and members of the council. My name is Jennifer Barber. And first of all, the Youth Commission, that is amazing. Wow, that's just so exciting. I'm excited for these kids and these future leaders in our city. I do want to talk to you a little bit about planning and zoning tonight and why there was not anyone appointed tonight to that open seat. Late last year, I applied for planning and zoning, and I was very curious about how the process worked, how interviews would go and all that. I had emailed the city on a couple of occasions, and I was told, we'll tell you later, we'll tell you, yeah, we'll get back to you, that kind of thing. I was kind of dismissed. All of a sudden, I saw there was an agenda posted for June 7th, that this meeting would be taking place. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. At the end of the week, I was curious to find out if anyone had been chosen for the committee. And I was told, and I quote, "The committee is looking to appoint from other areas of West and North Goodyear so that they can get a more accurate representation of the city as a whole. I believe many of those who applied were from the Estrella Mountain Ranch area. With 20,000 people up there, I can see why you'd have a lot of people who are interested in planning and zoning." After much discussion, the city clerk followed up with me and said that applicants will be chosen from Palm Valley and North Goodyear, and cited a 2011 recommendation that was created by then clerk Lynn Mulhall. That's how long we're talking. Lynn was here years and years ago. Now, I'm struggling to understand if this is really a serious policy because in that meeting, two individuals who reside in the same general areas as the members of the commission were actually interviewed, which goes against that 2011 policy. And I'm still trying to understand how the subcommittee reviewed all the applicants, interviewed two people for planning and zoning, in the exact same meeting that process was followed for the Youth Commission and the Council Compensation Committee. That whole meeting was 2 hours and 12 minutes. Look, the city clerk's policy was an absolute surprise to me. I had never heard of it before. It's not prominent on the website. Didn't know that when I filled out my application. Your city staff didn't know about this. Your legal department ended up having to try and figure out what this was about. They didn't know. As a council, you serve at large. You serve all the people. We do not have districts here. And in my 18 years of volunteer service in this city, I have always been under the impression that we serve for all of the people. And so I am asking if you could go to a merit-based system, remove people's names and their addresses from the applications, that would be fantastic. And so that you know how important planning and zoning is, you've got a whole room of really upset people here. We deserve better. The people deserve better. And there just has to be a way that, to make these policies more clear. And I just, we deserve better. I
Jane?
ask that you take a look at this process
Jane,
again.
time's up.
Thank you.
Thank you. City manager, will you get back to Jen on that? Thank you. All right, let's see, anything else? Non-agenda? City clerk, please read the consent agenda items 3 through 14 by title only.
Number 3, approval of minutes. Number 4, approve the new Series 12 restaurant liquor license for Rock and Roll Sushi located at 15611 West McDowell Road, Suite 110. Number 5, approve the recommended fiscal year 2023 to 2024 community funding allocations. Number 6, adopt ordinance number 2023-1573, levying upon the assessed valuation of the property within the city of Goodyear, subject to primary and secondary taxation, a certain sum upon each $100 of valuation sufficient to raise the amounts estimated to be required in the annual budget for the purpose of paying for various expenses. To raise the amount estimated to be received from other sources of revenues, providing funds for various bond redemptions for the purpose of paying principal and interest upon bonded indebtedness, all for fiscal year ending the 30th day of June 2024, and directing the city clerk to record a copy of this ordinance. Number 7, approve an intergovernmental agreement with Maricopa Library District for library assistance funds for the Georgia T. Lord Library. Number 8, authorize expenditure of funds for approved capital improvement project number 42023 for Bullard Avenue widening. Number 9, adopt resolution number 2023-2325 declaring as public right-of-way city-owned property located within a section of the South 173rd Avenue alignment, requiring recordation and providing for an effective date. Number 10, approve budget amendments and related expenditure authority. Number 11, approve expenditures up to $1,177,500 for Cleveland Guardians Complex improvements. Number 12, approve the Artesian Casitas access easement across city property at the intersection of West Kendall Street and South 173rd Avenue. Number 13, approve the replat of Artesian Casitas at West Goodyear. Number 14, adopt resolution number 2023-2323 approving the Fourth Amendment to the Infrastructure Development Agreement for Project 1011, authorizing and directing the city manager to execute the Fourth Amendment, providing authorization for future actions and providing for an effective date.
Does anybody on the council wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Seeing none, can I get a motion and a second? I got a motion and a second on the board. Go ahead and open the voting, please. Passes 7-0. All right, with that, there are 5 public hearings on the agenda. Before we get started, I have some text, which probably is going to be some duplicates for some others, but I'd like to go ahead and read it for the general audience. Before we begin the public hearing, I'd like to make a couple of remarks about the public hearing process and to clarify a few of misunderstandings that have been raised through the public comment period. The city of Goodyear does not designate which businesses should be built on a particular property. The property only solicits business to the buyer and to the land if they generally meet the zoning requirements and comply with any restrictions that were placed on the property at the time of the zoning or sale. To be clear, the city did not ask Circle K to locate on this parcel. It was a business transaction between 2 private businesses. The parcels located in the area have been designated for commercial development since 1998, and they were zoned in 2008 to be conformance with the graduated density restrictions to support the mission of Luke Air Force Base, which like most of the land in the area. The public hearing process is prescribed by law and not subject to deviation. Only an application for zoning or special use is made to the city. We obligated by law to allow the applicant to move forward through the public hearing process. It is up to the applicant and property owner to determine if the project has public support or the job of the city council to hear the case when they make that determination. Through this process, we have received over 400 comments, multiple petitions, and phone calls as outlined in the law. Residents have the right to submit comments and speak tonight. The applicant has the same right as does the property owner to present their case for consideration. We are restricted from saying yes or no until the public hearing process is exhausted. This is how good governance works to protect the rights of landowners and those of the residents. We are here tonight to consider a special use permit relating to the gas pumps only, not to decide whether business should be located on a parcel of private property. The decision was made in 2008, and no one sitting here tonight was any part of that process. We ask that you respectfully of the applicant and the public process, please do not shout out talk over to others, or engage in unruly behavior during the public hearing. I know you are passionate about this project, but we have a public hearing to conduct, and we must do it with the highest level of public decorum. I appreciate your cooperation and understanding. Please do that. With that, we've got 5 public hearings tonight. First public hearing item is considered a use permit for a convenience store at Quick Trip at Yuma and 133rd. Open the public, 173, Avenue, open public hearing. This particular public hearing is being continued to July 10th, 2023. All right, let's see what I have. The next public hearing item to consider is a use permit for self-storage facility at Willis and Rainbow Road. Open public hearing. This public hearing is being continued to July 10th, 2023. The next public hearing is considered is the development impact fee audit. Open public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor Pizzillo, members of the council. We're here tonight to present to you the development impact fee audit. This is required by state law, both the audit itself and the public hearing that we're doing tonight. It's a biennial audit every 2 years. We conduct this audit. The audit we're talking about tonight is for the period of July 1st, 2020 through June 30th of 2022. And it was completed by Heinfeld Meach and Company, which was our external auditors that we also used for our annual audit last year for the overall city audit. 5 things are looked at in this audit: the progress on the infrastructure improvement plan, the IIP, so the projects that were being built with impact fees, collection and expenditure of fees, so the process that we're taking those fees in, evaluate the inequities, potential inequities in plans or fees. If there's something that we're collecting, maybe it's not fair that we're collecting it one way from one person and differently on another. Construction sales tax is being applied appropriately. And then finally, that we are doing an annual report that is in compliance with state law. All 5 of these categories, we have no exceptions noted by our auditors, so this is a clean audit. And with that, I turn that over to the council and to the public for a public hearing.
Any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Anybody in the audience like to speak on this impact fee audit? No? Let's see. Council, please enter a motion in a second.
Got to close the public hearing. Mayor.
Oh, excuse me. You're right. Close the public hearing. We've got a motion and a second on the board there. Open for council discussion. Seeing none, go ahead and open the voting. Passes 7-0. Thank you. The next public hearing item is to consider a use permit for convenience use at the southeast corner of Saraville and Yuma with Pueblo Verde Commercial. See, let's open the public hearing. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good evening, Mayor Pizzillo and Council. My name is Christian Williams, Principal Planner here with the City of Goodyear. Now I'm before you this evening with a request from Andy Yoakum and Paul Gilbert to request a use permit for a convenience use drive-through within the city. The 1.28 acre site is located in the larger 3.16 acre property that's located at the southeast corner of Saraville Avenue and Yuma Road. It's right where this star is on the map, right in the middle of the city. It is within a commercial corner of Pueblo Verde and is currently zoned PAD with an underlying entitlement equivalent to the city's neighborhood commercial zoning. And the entire commercial parcel is 6.5 acres. So zooming in a little further, here is the site for the convenience use permit today. The red is the entire parcel. To the north of that is Yuma Road and Wildflower Ranch. To the west of that is Saraville Avenue and Vanderbilt Farms. It is within Pueblo Verde. The residential subdivision of that is called Glenmont Estates. And to the northwest is Fancy Fries. All right, for a brief zoning history, the Pueblo Verde development was rezoned for residential and commercial uses back in 2004. And since that time, again, the residential portion has been developed and is called Glenmont Estates. The commercial portion has an underlying zoning equivalent to the city C1, neighborhood commercial, and that commercial portion is just now beginning to develop, with the first component of that being the self-storage facility that is on the east and southern portion of that property. So to the use today, it is a convenience use drive-through that is approximately 4,500 square feet in size. There are 45 parking spaces located on that site, and there is a drive-through component that wraps around the southern end and the eastern end of that building. There are 6 spaces of queuing before your first stopping point, which is, it falls in line with our existing drive-through standards today, even though this application was submitted before that. There is landscaping on the southern end of the property, and the building matches the colors, materials, architecture of the storage facility that's under construction. That includes the materials of brick, stone, stucco. There's a trellis structure over the drive-through. There will be split rail fencing along Yuma Road and Saraville Avenue to match that of the existing Glenmont Estates development. And the drive-through portion of the property is approximately 150 to 210 feet away from the nearest residential parcel to the south. And I will show you a little bit more of a blown-out image of this in a minute. In addition, the south edge of the drive-through will contain a 6-foot wall to screen from sound. So I flipped the proposal a little bit. So Yuma is now on this side, Saraville is on this side. The entrances to the site will be from the south heading north with a right turn in or a right turn out. This is Saraville Avenue. It's a drive that's being constructed today off of Saraville. And then there will be a drive-through that will have access left in, or right out off of Yuma Road. That will be also constructed with the storage. So the storage and this use and other future uses will share that driveway off of Yuma, and again, that driveway off of Saraville. At the hard corner, because this is a convenience use on a corner, there will be a trellis structure that is kind of agrarian in nature with the picket fencing and the trellis, as well as 3 pedestrian connections from Yuma and or Saraville. As a note, as it relates to the drive-through, in total there are 253 feet of queuing before the second window, and there is an auxiliary bypass lane for the restaurant as well. To talk to you a little bit about landscaping, there are 30 feet of landscaping that are being, a landscape buffer being developed right now as a part of the storage project for the overall master site. There's 30 feet. There are storage buildings that will be constructed on the east. They will appear to the residents like this. There's also a view fence that will be placed along the southern property line adjacent with that HOA park. That is a part of that storage proposal that you have already approved. Then moving further to the north, as a result of some comments that were made at the neighborhood meeting, the applicant did agree to build a 6-foot screen wall that will be located south of the drive-through aisle before a parcel that's available for a future retail or office or C1 type use. In total, this building is 24 feet and 4 inches tall. In the C1 zoning district, you can have buildings up to 30 feet, so they are under that. And typically, homes within Glenmont Estates are approximately 20 to 30 feet setback in their backyard from their private backyard wall. So that is a summary, overall summary of the site with a colored-in landscaping element to that. And then again, this is a view of the south side of that McDonald's where you might see that 6-foot wall that is there to obscure any potential sound that might come from the site. All right. An in-person neighborhood meeting was conducted for this proposal. The neighborhood meeting took place back on January 25th. More than 30 residents were in attendance, most of them residing in Glenmont Estates, with a few residing in Wildflower Ranch. Residents expressed several concerns at that meeting, including the proximity of the speaker box to their homes facing south, idling of cars and the potential for noise from music or that idling, property values, trash, potential for children to damage HOA walls or climb on walls, traffic at that existing intersection of Saraville Avenue and Yuma Road. And at the conclusion of that meeting, 23 of the 30 sign-in lines were marked to indicate from a resident or household that they had opposition to the use permit. An additional 12 emails in opposition were sent that I am aware of, and the Planning and Zoning Commission considered this item on June 14th. At the conclusion of the presentations, At the conclusion of the presentation, speaker cards were submitted. 1 resident spoke in favor of the proposal, 3 did not wish to speak, and 3 did speak in opposition to the case. At the conclusion of that meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted 3-2 to forward you all, or council, apologize, a recommendation of approval. And then additionally, I'm aware of at least one more email in opposition that was sent to the council. In response to some of the concerns, stipulations have been included on the use permit here. The hours of operation will be restricted from 5 a.m. to 12 a.m., so not a 24-hour operation. Deliveries may not occur between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. There will be an exhaust scrubbing device placed on this McDonald's for odor control. The Pueblo Verde PAD has some strict lighting standards already, so those were placed in the use permit in addition to some of the more typical ones about cutoffs and shutoffs and things of that nature that you've seen in your staff report. There is a stipulation about the noise from the speaker not being audible from any residentially zoned property. The sound will be mitigated through the use of volume control, and in addition, that wall will be built by the applicant with this, that 6-foot-high CMU wall on the south end of the property. There shall be no illuminated signage placed on the south side of the building, and there will be shielding for the other lights on the property. This applicant will also be completing the landscaping that the storage unit will not complete in Yuma Road between Saraville Avenue and the storage unit property, and they will be completing any half street improvements or landscaping that is removed based on driveway construction. With that, staff has evaluated the impacts of the proposed zoning in the use permit to the greater community and the use permit criteria. The use permit will not be materially detrimental to persons residing or working in the vicinity and the adjacent properties to the neighborhood, to the public welfare, and the proposed use is reasonably compatible with the uses permitted in the surrounding area. Adjacent to the parcel size is of a sufficient size. Circulation has been accounted for by planning. The hours of operation have been reduced. And the required traffic mitigation items will be completed. With the stipulations presented, staff would recommend your approval of the use permit. And as a note, just on the intersection of Saraville and Yuma, Saraville Avenue from Yuma to Elwood will begin the construction process in fiscal year 2025, and Yuma Road, Saraville Avenue to Canyon Trails Boulevard will begin in FY 2024. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, and the applicant is here for a presentation.
Applicant, would you like to speak at this time?
What do you think, Mayor?
Your shot, your show.
Thank you. For your record, my name is Paul Gilbert. I have 701 North 44th Street. I'm here tonight representing the landowner and the proposed developer, which is McDonald's, and the user, which is the Mellon family. Mellon family basically own almost, I think, every McDonald's in the city. They're a very well-known developer of McDonald's, and I submit are very highly respected and held in very high regard. Also with me tonight is Gary Blau with McDonald's, my assistant planner, Andy Chokums, and the broker who helped us work with the neighborhood, Mike Ord. This is a use permit for a drive-through for McDonald's. The restaurant is allowed, it's permitted. One of the things that I really want you to focus on is this property has been zoned C1, C1 for almost 20 years. So we're not coming before you tonight and saying, please zone a piece of property commercial. It's zoned. It was zoned when the people moved in. It was zoned as part of the master plan. Everyone knew that bought a home there that it was zoned C1, or at least had the ability to know that. So it should be no surprise that we should come forward at this time to ask for a conditional use permit for a restaurant. I would like to quote from your C1 ordinance. It's a little presumptuous of me to follow a Christian because he covers it so well. And Mayor, I'm not going to repeat a lot of what he said, hoping that my brevity will be rewarded. But back to the quote. The C1 zoning is, quote, intended to provide limited retailing generally on small parcels serving nearby residential neighborhoods. That, I submit, is exactly what this use proposes. And I think the staff has made it very clear that they agree with us in that regard. The staff report in its presentation has done an excellent job. In order to qualify for a use permit, we have to meet certain criteria. Those criteria have been met, and the staff report and Christian's presentation to you went through that in glorious detail. It will not be replicated by me. Sufficient to say we meet your standards, every one of them. We're doing a lot of things that we didn't need to do. The new drive-through standards that was adopted by the city were adopted after we filed our application. We didn't have to comply with them, but we did. We actually worked with your staff on those standards and helped formulate them. And we thought as an act of good faith, we would comply with them, even though we're not required to do so under the ordinance. There's always a concern on a drive-through if there's enough lanes, if we're going to keep cars off the adjacent street. Christian went through in a lot of detail showing you that we have ample room on site to handle all the traffic. So there will be no traffic congestion. We've submitted a traffic report that was reviewed by your staff, confirming and vindicating that very point. Now, let's talk just briefly about the neighborhood considerations. Just briefly. First that we heard in the neighborhood meeting was there were going to be speaker noise. Well, let's dissect that just for a moment and look at the stipulations. And remember, we're agreeing with every single stipulation that your staff has suggested in its recommendation of approval. So let's begin with the noise. McDonald's operates some of the quietest and most efficient drive-throughs around. And this store, of course, will be no exception. Our equipment has what is called an automatic volume control to reduce the speaker decibels based on ambient conditions, which produces a significant reduction compared to a standard speaker system. We are also implementing a display screen. Sorry, a lot of pressure up here tonight. Yeah. Our display screen, so the person on the other side doesn't say, this is your order, a Big Mac, chocolate shake, and fries. The order is printed there, and we just simply say, is that your order? Reduces the noise and efficiency of the operation. Our speakers are located 150 feet from our neighbors to the south, and while we do not anticipate our speakers will be heard above the ambient conditions, we will be adding a block wall of our own volition and recommended by the staff, with which we agreed to put in that additional wall. We also point out that there's a second block wall directly adjacent to the drive-through lane. So the land immediately south of McDonald's will also be filled with another commercial building. So you're going to have an additional buffer between this operation and the adjacent residents. Stipulation number 8 confirms that we'll provide a decorative wall, and stipulation 7 reminds us all of the language within the zoning ordinance, and I can't emphasize this enough. We're required by stipulation that we agree with 100% that the noise from our speakers will not be audible outside the boundaries of the property. So one cannot say that we're going to cause a problem with noise. Odor. Frankly, we've never been accused of having a problem with odor, but we wanted to address it, as suggested by your staff stipulations. So we will be installing an exhaust scrubbing device. This odor mitigation is also referenced in your stipulations. Lighting. We are internally illuminated signage is not going to be placed on the south side of the building facing the residential. The lighting is highly regulated in stipulations 4, 5, 6, and 13. So our conclusion is we're seeking your approval of a use permit tonight that meets all of your criteria, every one of them. And I would like to end my presentation by quoting the staff report, which I submit is very instructive and all-inclusive and is worthy of your hearing as you consider this application this evening. I quote from your staff report, "Staff finds that the proposed use permit for a convenience use McDonald's drive-through, subject to the conditions and stipulations set forth above, meets the zoning ordinance requirements, will not be material detrimental to adjacent properties, and will be compatible with the surrounding area. Staff is accordingly recommending approval of the use permit." We're here with a staff recommendation of approval. We're here with a Planning Commission recommendation of approval, and we agree with all of the stipulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead. We have any speaker cards?
Yes, Mayor, we do.
Okay, go ahead.
Ashley Lavelle.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Ashley Lavelle. I live at 16011 West Maricopa in Wildflower Ranch. I wanted to come here and say that while on the surface, this may seem like a good idea for the community, but I wanted to, I guess, present the case of why this will be materially detrimental. Sorry, I'm nervous. My biggest concern is traffic. And so right now Yuma is going to be, this location is right down the street from the new proposed 303 that is just getting ready to extend. And so my concern is that that's going to cause increased traffic to 3,500 new vehicles every day in our community. And this is plop in the middle of a neighborhood. That's going to cause extended commute times. We also have a number of pedestrians that walk along these roads that I see every day, myself included. And so now my biggest concern is with all of this traffic, what's going to happen to our walkability now? And then I would also like to present that the time also for this location does not match the Burger King or the Fry's that is located across the street. So the Burger King and the Fry's are open from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. at night, where this one is going to be 5 a.m. to midnight. And while the applicant did mention that their speaker box will not cause as much noise, but they cannot control the music that is playing from people's cars through the drive-thru, that's going to affect those families that live within 150 feet of this proposed development. Let's see. I also have a picture of where the location, I guess the driveway is that is coming off of Saraville. I don't know how to,
Can
if I can
somebody
put it
help?
there.
Can you help her with that, Christian?
So this is the drive-through that they were showing you that is off of Saraville. And so this is what it would look like and how close it's going to be to the nearest neighborhood. And so to me, that seems very, very close, especially if I have small children. And if it's going to be open from 5 a.m. to midnight with all of the car traffic coming off of Saraville, that's concerning to me. And so I'm hoping that you'll side with the residents and vote no, because we are not against restaurants. We just don't want to drive through. So thank you.
Thank you. Another card?
Yes, Mayor. Ray and Corey Cowan?
Yeah,
Good
just
evening,
state your
everyone.
name and your address for the record, please.
My name is Corey Cowan. This is my husband, Ray. We live at 16258 West Yavapai Street. And thanks to this nice lady who showed a picture, that was my house in the picture, for the record. 150 feet from this proposed project. We chose the city of Goodyear as a place to establish our family roots back in 2012, when we began building our home in Glenmont Estates. We were aware it was commercial, by the way. It's our home that will be most directly impacted by the development of this McDonald's project. You see, our property line is approximately 150 feet from the proposed drive-through and around 30 feet from one of the two major access points from this street to this location. 30 feet from our backyard where our kids play. The potential of thousands of vehicles that are going to visit this restaurant daily. Along with many of our neighbors, we've shared the similar concerns about the potential impacts of noise, light, smell, and traffic that this program will have on our quality of life. We recognize the efforts the developer plans to put in place to address these concerns, and we appreciate their willingness to address the issues. We've worked with these gentlemen for a number of years, way back predating the storage unit. However, our concerns go beyond what the developer and owner might not be able to have any control over to the negative impacts they can't control. Additional negative impacts that we anticipate include loud idling vehicles, horn honking, exhaust fumes, customer disputes. We see them yelling in drive-thrus all the time, litter, loitering customers, additional foot traffic along the side of our property, car accidents a few feet from our home, and the attraction of unsheltered persons. We believe that the extremely close proximity of this McDonald's will have a detrimental impact on the value of our home, our ability to enjoy our outside space with our family and friends, the comfortability of our indoor space, and our overall safety. We ask you take these concerns seriously when you cast your votes this evening. Please don't set a precedent in the city of Goodyear that it's acceptable for businesses to impede on nearby residents in this manner. This is a special use permit. It doesn't have to be accepted. Please vote no this evening and ask McDonald's to find another location that's not 150 feet from their neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. Hold it. Anybody else?
Alan Stark?
Can you help him, Christian?
It's on. You just
it's
need
on.
to put
Okay,
your
thanks.
thing under there. But state your name for the record, please, and whether you're a Goodyear resident.
Yeah, my name is Alan Stark. I'm a resident of Goodyear 1225 South 160th Lane. Let's be clear what the applicant is requesting. They're requesting to be allowed to build the highest traffic generating use approved per permit in the neighborhood commercial zoning district. At upwards of 1,000 cars a day from 5 a.m. to midnight, this proposal is far from limited, which is what the zoning ordinance says retailing should be here. A drive-through restaurant produces more traffic and most concerning noise, pollution, and litter that comes with it than any other uses that you would typically see this close to homes. At 150 feet, you will be approving the closest drive-through to ever be approved to existing single-family homes in the city of Goodyear. Now, I know you're going, wait a minute, there's a Whataburger Indian School that's closer. Those homes were built after the Whataburger. After the Whataburger. That's not the case here. These homes have been here for 10 years. And as the speaker before me mentioned, this driveway right here to access the McDonald's is 30 feet from the backyards and master bedrooms of my neighbors' homes. That's a lot of traffic within 30 feet of your homes. You will be approving the only drive-through in the city of Goodyear to have no left turn exits. So now those 1,000 cars will be making U-turns at this intersection and this intersection, or if they're afraid of U-turns, they can cut right through the Glenmont Estates neighborhood and get where they need to go. Finally, I've been watching council meetings for the past 5 years, and I can recall only one use permit that this council as a body has rejected. You'll probably remember it. It's the car wash in McDowell behind the recently opened Quick Trip. I want to compare these two. That car wash was seeking approval of a convenience permit, just like this. The car wash was on a parcel already zoned general commercial. This is neighborhood commercial, limited compared to general commercial. The car wash was surrounded on all sides by land also zoned general commercial. The only existing development near the car wash were 2 hotels. To the south, 380 feet away from the noise generating plot. Of course, this McDonald's is surrounded by single family homes to the north, south, east, and west. The car wash would have hours between 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. This McDonald's, 5 a.m. to midnight. Councilmember Stipp, Hampton, Loretano, and Vice Mayor Cano and Mayor Pizzillo, you all voted nay to that car wash. You stated, I don't know how you can mitigate the noise for people who are trying to enjoy the hotels and restaurants. It will impede on the experience. What about next to someone's home? That will impede on their livability. That will be materially detrimental to their property. It's a place where they raise their kids. It's a place where they take care of their elderly. This is not a business. So I bring this up for 2 reasons. One,
Watch your time.
okay, thank you. Just 10 more seconds if you don't
10
mind.
more seconds, go ahead.
One, you have set a precedence that you can deny a use permit if it's not the right fit. And 2, I humbly ask that if you do plan to vote for this McDonald's, answer this one question. Why did you feel it was necessary to protect businesses from potential impacts of traffic and noise, but you're not willing to do the same for people's homes? Thank you very much. You have a good evening.
Thank you. All right. What did we say at the beginning? Please, what did we say at the beginning? Let the people speak. You don't need to be clapping. You're all going to have time to say what you got to say, all right? I don't want to have to clear it. So please, have the decorum. Thank you. Anybody else?
Mayor, I have a number of speaker cards here that did not indicate the item that they wanted to speak upon.
Okay.
So it could be either this item or the next. So is there anybody else in the audience that wanted to speak on the McDonald's item?
So those other ones are for the next item?
I
Okay.
believe so then.
All right. We're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Council, please enter a motion and a second set up to approve the use permit for convenience use of a drive-through restaurant on approximately 1.28 acres, proportionally legally described in the certain document titled Site Plan for McDonald's, the property of a large 3.6 acre property zone plan area development with the underlying zoning of C1 neighborhood commercial located at the southeast corner of Cedarville Avenue and Yuma Road with the Pueblo Verde PAD subject to stipulations. I have a motion and a second, open for council discussion. Go ahead, Councilmember Gillis.
Okay, I'm really torn on this because I am definitely a McDonald's user and a drive-through user. I like McDonald's, and so I can't say anything bad about that. I am a little concerned about where it's going. Looking at that picture, can I see the picture again that you showed us? Can I see that, please, again? I want to see how close it was to your home, you said. I'd like to see that again. Okay, so that concerns me because since I was voted in by the people, as all of us were, I would not want to be that home there and have the drive-through right there. I would not, for a lot of the reasons that you stated. That concerns me. However, I will tell you this, it is zoned for commercial. I would not have a problem with a restaurant there, a seated restaurant. The drive-through does concern me, and I do love McDonald's, but it does concern me there. So that's kind of where I'm at, and from the way it sounds like that there is homes all the way around this, is that correct, Christian? On all sides of where this is going to go? I really want to know that.
Yes, There are homes just south of the McDonald's location, 30 feet south. North of Yuma, you have Wildflower Ranch across that entire frontage. And then to the due west of here, you have homes in Vanderbilt Farms. That are
Vanderbilt
across the-
Farms.
Yes.
And then this back area that I'm seeing, back behind the fence here, that's part of where the entrance is going to be?
Yes, where you see that fence there, that looks to be the property line of the entirety of the commercial center. So 30 feet north of that line is where the driveway would cut in. And right now, there is a right turn deceleration lane being built adjacent to this HOA tract.
So we're plopping this right in the middle of all these homes?
That is correct.
Okay, that's good enough for me. Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Christian, sorry. It's always that. Will you bring up page 7 of your proposal, or of your presentation?
Yes.
And maybe you'll have a better picture, but I guess for me, this has been the most helpful.
Is it this one or this?
Yes, that one, thank you. So I want to go over the barriers. I guess, for one, the road the entry in off of Saraville is already established for the purpose of the public storage. So that's the ingress and egress. So no matter what goes in there, that's how people are going to be traveling in. Okay, and then there is that 30-foot buffer with landscaping.
30 feet, yes.
30 feet, okay. And that will run the entire length of the whole commercial property?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Now, looking at where the driveway connects to I should say, the driveway coming out of McDonald's heading south, running into the egress. From Mr. Stark's photo, it looked like that area is not where the Cowan's home is. Is that correct? So as you would come in and maybe turn over, yeah, because I can't see where the houses are on this diagram, but I believe the Cowans are a little farther over.
They're right. Oh,
okay.
I'm not sure if you can see it, but there are this first line right here.
Okay.
To this line here.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Now, if it wasn't a drive-through, it could be automotive, it could be tire, it could be a number of types of business. Is that correct?
Could be any use that is in the neighborhood use, or neighborhood commercial section of our zoning ordinance.
Okay. So public storage, I know there's a lot of debate about that, but generally has people coming and going. To the level is certainly debatable, but there is this pad, and then there's the one next to it that will also have some type of business. So, and that's going to be the road in or out, regardless. Okay, and then would you just highlight for me again the fencing barriers between the McDonald's and the residents?
Yes. So this is the residential home and their block wall fence. So the block walls go east to west here.
Okay.
At this point presently, there is no fencing. It was that chain link fencing that was displayed earlier.
There's temporary fencing there now.
Correct.
Yes.
That will be replaced with view fencing that the storage project is stipulated to construct. Then you'll have the 30 feet of landscaping to the north of that.
Okay.
You'll have the drive aisle to the north of that. And then after the closest commercial pad here, so approximately 150 feet north, you'll have that 6-foot block wall that will go up in tiers up to 6 and back down. That will be on the southern side of this driveway here.
Okay, very good. This is an interesting case because of the fact that it has been commercial for so long, and I am empathetic to the Cowans, and I appreciated their acknowledgement that they were aware that it's commercial, and it's especially hard when you've been in a place for a long time and then it looks to develop. We're in a season now after, it seemed like during COVID there wasn't much commercial development. Now we're in a time where it's picking up again. And where it's picking up again, it seems to be a lot of infill. I notice that where I live and in definitely different areas. And it's hard when lands have been vacant. In this particular case, I just thought of another question. Where will the cars queue up? So if they're driving in and just, will you show me where they're going? I know they have the island where the double lane, but if it goes beyond that, which direction do they queue?
So my assumption would be that if you were queuing 3 cars here and you were coming from the south and turning in on Saraville, you would queue this way. If you're coming in from Yuma and you turn in and there's no room, you're going to queue this way. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but then you're going to have queuing every which way, it appears. So I don't know if that might be something that the applicant might care to address.
And there is a stipulation regarding queuing. That would be stipulation 12. That would address if fire lanes are blocked and what our remedy process for that would be.
I want to thank the applicant and their representatives for all the community engagement that they've done. I think that the stipulations, as they are written, is definitely a response to what they heard from the community. And so they've done a lot of good work in that. And I guess that completes my questions. Thank you.
Let's see, Councilmember Loretano.
I just have to check to see if I'm next. Thank you very much, and thank you the applicant, and thank you everybody that came to speak about this. I think it's really important to get everyone's position. And as the mayor said, we're looking at the drive-through portion of the restaurant. And that's the only reason we're here for the use permit. Do you have a list of what other uses could go in here? The vice mayor did mention a few, but I think it'd be very helpful if we actually had a list so everyone can know what can go in there without us saying anything.
I'm going to phone a friend here and see if
Here comes
Ms.
Katie.
Wilkin can help me with that list, and I'll rattle it off, or she can rattle it off if she'd like.
Thank you. I'm just pulling it up.
Yeah, I think it's helpful for everyone to know what can go in there without a use permit, which means it's zoned, which means they don't have to come before us, they can just start building, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Sorry, Katie, should have given you a heads up.
Thank you. Some uses include in the C1 category that, again, are permitted outright: auto sales and leasing, banks, which includes drive-through facilities on banks.
Do we have to, if it's a bank, approve the drive-through or not?
No, banks' drive-throughs are permitted outright.
Okay.
Offices, equipment rental, crematory, daycare, manufactured home sales, and then restaurants without drive-throughs, retail stores, and typical commercial uses. So some examples.
Is this one that the tattoo parlor can be allowed on without, and that type of stuff?
Yes, tattoo parlors, massage establishments can be permitted as long as they're separated from other similar uses.
How about a vape store? If I wanted to build a vape store there, would I be able to do that without a city permit?
Yes.
Okay. And what I'm getting at is I think that's something that we up here need to do a better job educating everybody and letting them know what is in these uses and what it means and what can actually go there without us having any say. And I think that's what's really important. Now, for the drive-through, there's, on your map, Christian, there's a little, like a little Tetris piece that blocks out there. Yeah, right there. Yeah. How many pads is that for?
That would be approximately 1 pad. So let's say you had a small office that could, in theory, fit there.
With parking there too?
We would do a parking calculation, but that's the size of approximately a small office buildings, and it looks like approximately 5 or so parking spots across the front, give or take.
And then the other part of the little Tetris piece up there, how many different pads is that?
Depending on the size, you could fit 1 to 2, depending on how it's parked. You could do 2 other pads, maybe 1 other shops building.
Okay. And with the queuing, that's always my concern. Anyone who's been through the Popeyes drive-through? Yeah, that's a bit of a mess there. So I do appreciate, I understand the queuing issue. And I like the fact that there's 2 lanes. And then the wall will separate the lanes from everywhere, the next pad. So if someone wanted to build an office there, there would still be that wall would separate them from the office.
That is correct.
And then my last question is with kind of the traffic flow on that corner. You said there's working on a right in, right out. Can you show us where that right in decel lane is going to be?
That right turn decel lane will be off the map, so it would be adjacent to the existing HOA park.
And will this be a right in, right out, or can you turn left into there, or how's that going to be?
Once the Saraville Avenue improvements are created, there will be a physical barrier to prevent somebody that might want to turn left in.
Okay, so it will have to be a right in, right out. And then how about the other entrance to where it goes out the other side? No, it's not on the map. Is that right
This-
in, right out, or would that be a left a bit?
This would be right in, right out, and left in from the Desert Edge side, if you will.
Okay. And I think that takes care of my questions for now. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Hampton?
Yeah, thank you, Christian. People already kind of hit a lot of the pieces, but going back, I'll just piggyback on Councilwoman Loretano's point. So can I take a left-hand turn at Wildflower Drive right now?
At which drive?
At Wildflower Drive? Is it permitted to take, so I assume because it's so close to that light.
Yes.
You can't put another light right at the exit of anything that goes there.
That's correct.
So if I'm taking a right-hand turn out of there and I want to go back towards the 303 or that direction, can I take a left, is that built to take a left-hand turn?
If you wanted to take a left-hand turn out of here and head towards the 303, the route you should take would be to make the right out onto Saraville and then go to the light at Yuma and make the left turn, go the mile to the Loop 303.
Okay, but is it built to do a left-hand turn at Wildflower? I can't remember.
Wildflower Turn is a four-way intersection that allows all turning movements.
Okay, I can't remember. I used to live right in that Saraville village right there, so.
Wildflower and Village are the same, and they both provide left turns at all the intersections.
Okay, I think everybody hit a lot of the things. I was curious about what could go there. Crematorium, auto sales, other drive-through uses. And then also the pads, you're saying that could be there too, which could provide a potential another buffer. So I appreciate the applicant working with the residents as much as possible with the barriers, the odor control, the lighting, and things like that. So, and I realize that it could be a lot of different uses there. I mean, tomorrow, and we couldn't stop that from happening because it's already been zoned that way. So, I'm trying to think of any other questions that I have here. Yeah, I think my seatmates already hit a lot of the good ones for me. So, when does Saraville, remind me, I know you said the dates. When does Saraville get completed, that road widened?
Yes.
And down to Canyon Trail, not Canyon Trails, down to, I forget that first road down there. I used to drive on it all the time.
So Saraville Avenue, starting at Yuma on the north, headed down to Elwood on the south, that is scheduled to begin construction in FY25. That would make Saraville a 2-lane road in each direction with a raised median and turning areas.
Okay.
Yuma Road from Saraville Avenue west to Canyon Trails Boulevard is scheduled to begin construction at the end of fiscal year 2024. That would make that a 3-lane road in each direction with a raised median.
24.
End of 24, start of construction, fiscal year.
Okay. And that does not, if the 303 should have the funding, but if 303 for some reason does not start, that our project still widens that area?
That
or
would
is it
take
waiting
it
on the 303?
basically to Romans.
Okay.
Romans is kind of the stopping point of that project. West of there,
ADOT picks it up?
ADOT doesn't pick it all up, but ADOT picks up a significant chunk, and that is currently funded for the 303 to begin.
Okay.
Here shortly.
Just in case, I'm just trying to think what that would feel like and work like, because I know in Goodyear we have a lot of issues with unbuilt streets, which causes a lot of issues with traffic and a lot of frustration. So, okay, I think that answers most of all my questions. So, thank you.
Councilmember Stipp?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to go on the record. There is funding already set for the 303, so just so that we don't think that that's in jeopardy. But I am very appreciative of the McDonald's Corporation I should say the Mellons, and their work in the community and everything that they have tried to do on this site. They have always been a great community partner, and I really appreciate that. I also appreciate, and I'm sorry I did not write down your name, but the gentleman who spoke third, I appreciate when you call out our hypocrisy, that we denied the special use permit for the car wash, but we, theoretically will approve this. I will be brief in my comments. I am always the one who asks, if not this, then what? I don't know the answer to that question, but it is not a McDonald's for me. So I will not be supporting this application.
Councilmember Campbell?
Christian, I just have a quick question. Was there ever a conversation to build a 6-foot wall from the entrance all the way down to where their wall hits?
No, there was not. Part of that is the storage is already going to be constructing per their stipulation, that view fencing to keep people from crossing between the parcels at that location.
Okay, was there any opposition to the storage unit? Because they're going to have a lot of traffic going in and out of there all the time.
The storage unit at the time of council did not receive opposition in the public hearing.
But now they don't want McDonald's in because they think it's going to be too much traffic when they've already got the storage unit coming in?
There are
Well,
different.
let me ask another question because that's very concerning to me. It's really hard for people to allow development and then come in at the last minute and say, oh, but wait, there's something else. COVID changed the way we live. COVID made the drive-throughs the way America is feeding their families. Every restaurant we deal with practically wants a drive-through. And these restaurants that have the drive-throughs, they're not making the drive-through. They've always had them, and they've proven that they work. True, this may not be an ideal location, but it's down the street from Desert Edge High School. How many kids are going to go to McDonald's? How many kids are going to work at McDonald's? How many kids like McDonald's? It's across the street from Fry's. Fry's has a tremendous amount of traffic all the time. Having a McDonald's may add more to it, but it's going to be the Fry's shoppers that are going to go into McDonald's while they're running through to get their coffee or their McDonald's Big Mac or whatever they get. So I see that could be an issue with the traffic, but we really can't discord that area is going to grow, that road's going to be widened, and this city is only 13% built out. We have a long way to go. And now that COVID is over, developers are coming out here and they want to do the infill. And we want the infill because we don't want all of these vacant lots just sitting empty when they are zoned commercial or whatever they're zoned for. So I appreciate everyone talking to everyone on this. I don't know exactly. I would rather have a McDonald's than a tattoo parlor, personally, or a marijuana dispensary. I wouldn't want any of that in my neighborhood or an adult bookstore, but that's just my preference. And thank you for all that you've done. I think that putting this by a storage area makes sense in as much as who knows when the other parcel is going to be developed. Look how long Vanderbilt Farms have been there, and they're acre and a half people. They're not on top of this facility at all. They have large, huge lots, and they're an entity to themselves, and it's a beautiful area. So I know I appreciate the picket fences because it's going to match what Fry's has. They're trying to be a good neighbor. They're trying to show that they care about the community, and that's all that I can add.
Okay. Let's see, Councilmember Gillis?
Christian, will there be any in and out of Glenmont Estates? Are they going to be going through Glenmont Estates to get to this?
No, there's
Is
no.
that how you were looking at that?
No, there's no direct connection from Glenmont Estates. If it's in reference to the fencing comment, that was a comment made back during the storage case of a concern that individuals might traverse their HOA park. So to keep individuals on the public sidewalk, that's why the view fencing was placed there.
Can they enter through Glenmont Estates?
Vehicles cannot enter from the commercial center into Glenmont Estates. The access to the commercial center is strictly from Yuma and Saraville.
Okay. And as far as the picture, I see where they want it in the middle, and it looks like this little thing with a whole bunch of space around it. But the truth is, from what I heard you say, it is 150 feet from some of these homes, correct?
That's correct. It's 150 feet from the northern boundary of those homes to the southern end of the driveway.
So that is 150 feet. That's not very much room. The other thing I wanted to mention is, I think from what I'm hearing, if I'm hearing this correct, we're talking about being open till midnight, correct?
That is correct.
Not necessarily just traffic. We're talking about being open till midnight.
That is correct.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Councilmember Loretano?
I just want to be very briefly. I think for me, the difference here, there was a question about that, and the car wash, is that we have a much better mitigation plan with this one than we did with the car wash. That wasn't very well set out on how it was going to be mitigated. Here we have buffers on all areas. We have a road that will be using to the storage facility and to the other 2 or 3 parcels on there. And then as to the McDonald's, we had very much the similar questions and concerns when it came up to Estrella. But the Mellon family, I will give them kudos. They do teacher night proceeds go to the schools all the time for our schools. It's a place for the young people to work. People are concerned about the midnight. You know, my son, who is an ASU Barrett student, got a summer job at Amazon. So you know what? He goes through the drive-through at night on the way home to get some food, because I'm not staying up till 9, 10 midnight to feed him. So, I mean, so there are people that are going to be using this. And public safety, who's out on the streets at midnight? Our cops. Who's going to maybe hop into that McDonald's and get a cup of coffee? I mean, I'm a former prosecutor. Yes, that's true, okay, in Phoenix. So that's just, they are good community partners. They will work with the community. If you have concerns, you know, we'll be able to make sure that those concerns are mitigated. So thank you.
Is that it? There's been a lot of discussion on here. You know, my biggest concern is always, if that doesn't go in, what does go in? And on what Councilmember Loretano had mentioned, you know, with the kids, I know Mellon family's always been good in contributing to various schools and activities as far as philanthropy. So, you know, you read the list on some of the things that can go in there, and to tell you the truth, if I was living around there, I'd want something a little more stable than some of the others that we won't have nothing to say about. So with that, I see nothing else to be added in here. Let's go open up the voting. Passes 5-2. We're going to take a 10-minute break before we get the last public hearing, which is going to be on the convenience store for Circle K. So let's take a 10-minute break, please.
We'll be right back.
It's a rebut. Their personal attack on me.
There's a change in plans. I think it has a lot to do with who's sitting out in the audience. The applicant has pulled the application. Please, no cheering, clapping, please, for decorum. It's good news, I understand that, but please, no clapping, no yelling, no screaming, all right? So with that, you all can go unless you want to hang around for the last one. All right, now,
You can still say something? Can they still talk about it? Can they
Well, they
still
can do
come up and
that.
talk about it? Like he wants to talk.
please go ahead and continue through. We have one more thing on the agenda. So please don't congregate here. Go ahead outside and do your celebration out in the hallway, all right?
So no one can talk about it either. Huh?
Keep it moving.
Yeah. They don't want you to. I want to talk to you, but
Keep it moving. Hey, Gene, keep them moving.
around the Circle K, around the. I think it's all C1. C1.
Brandon, turn the mic off. Everything you've been saying for the last 5 minutes has been heard.
Go in there without even coming to council.
Yeah, only because of the use, because of the driving. It could be all the other stuff that go there too.
It's almost cleared, Barb. Yeah, please, keep it moving. Almost, Barb, almost.
Like an internet cafe, go.
Keep them moving. All right, I think we're back to almost somewhat normalcy, Barb, so go ahead. Let's see, I'd like to remind the council to wait for a motion a second for discussion. We have on the business item, consider establishing water advisory committee. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor, Council. Good evening. Barbara Chappell, the Water Services Director for the City of Goodyear. So I'm here this evening, wanted to talk a little bit about public involvement and how critical it is for many of the services that the city offers. And in the past, we've assembled committees for, to address a particular topic, such as our rates or maybe even water conservation, but those have been finite committees. This year, one of our city manager's goals is to create a standing water advisory committee with members seated by October. So what we are requesting tonight is to approve the bylaws which explain our proposed membership. The proposed membership will consist of 7 members and 2 alternates. While we do look for the majority of those members to reside within our service area, we are open to others who may have other vested interests such as business owners or property managers. So there is a possibility for those members. Members must be registered voters, live in Goodyear for at least 1 year, and not have conflicts such as city employees, council members, or if they're in already 2 other boards or commissions, we wouldn't accept those applications. At least 50% of our members will serve a first term of 3 years, so that we'll have staggered terms beyond that. so we don't lose the whole committee all at once. Some of the goals and objectives will be pretty much everything water. That means water, wastewater, all of the services we provide, regulatory programs. Some of our goals and objectives are to explore strategies to expand and diversify our water portfolio for our future development, review capital and ongoing operational needs, expenditure needs, and then weigh in on those rates and fees that are needed to support those. Finally, we want them to develop, recommend, and promote water conservation. So our schedule, this evening we're here to request that you establish the committee and adopt the bylaws, which will then allow us to begin the application process. We plan to recruit this summer, so it's July through September. We'll be looking for applications. We do have a small list of individuals who have already expressed interest that we'll be sure to reach out to and get those applications back. We'll be back in front of you in October to seat the committee based on that schedule and our that we're looking for, and then we'll be holding our first meeting starting in November. So, any questions? I'm here.
Mayor, there's no speaker cards.
Thank you. City Clerk? Yep, that would help. City Clerk, please, it's been an interesting night. Will the City Clerk please read resolution number 2023-2312 by title only?
Adopt resolution number 2023-2312, establishing a Citizen Water Advisory Committee, adopting bylaws for the Citizen Water Advisory Committee, authorizing staff to take all actions necessary to carry out the intent of the resolution and bylaws, and establishing an effective date.
Thank you. Let's see, we got a motion and we got a second. And open for discussion. Councilmember Campbell is first up.
Okay, thank you. Barbara, I think this is a wonderful idea. I would like to ask that you emphasize to the committee, once it's established, that if they do make water conservation recommendations and the council does not immediately adopt it, that it's okay. Just because they make the recommendations doesn't mean that's what we're going to do, because we have to coordinate it through the departments and budget and this, that, and the other to figure out how it works. And I don't want to have any backfeed like we did with the last committee because they felt we didn't do it quick enough. And I think that is a deterrent to what we're trying to accomplish, because this committee's going to go for 3 years. And also, I don't know if there's any thought of getting all fresh new committee members rather than enlist the ones that were already on the other one when we need new voices, as long as they're from our service area or someone who owns property in our service area that would be using our water. So that's just my thoughts, and I think it's a wonderful idea to do, and I'm anxious for us to get started and to hear back from them for what their take is, what they think we should be, how we should be moving forward.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Campbell. To clarify, the small list of applicants that we'll be reaching out to are individuals who have recently expressed interest in water.
Wonderful.
So we had a couple show up at a council meeting a couple
Wonderful.
months ago, and we got their contact. So
Great.
they're not necessarily former members, but of an older commission.
Yeah.
These will be new ones that have
It's just
expressed
nice to
interest.
get fresh new voices and to enlarge our volunteer base, so to speak, because we don't want the same people from the same neighborhood doing all of this work when there's other users that probably have just a great opinion as well and would like an opportunity to interface with our staff. And I just like to share it, so.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, thank you.
Okay.
You good? Vice Mayor?
I'm very excited that we are at this phase. The former Citizen Conservation Committee was disbanded in 2018, and certainly water is now at the forefront of everybody's attention. Obviously, it's in the media a lot, and certainly Goodyear's very well positioned, but I think it's important that we do continue that civic engagement with our citizens. Do you envision, even from this, some sort of community education? I think, just we have to continue to get the word out about our water situation.
So we do actually see a good portion, so a good portion of the first year is going to be educating the committee.
Yes.
There is a lot of items that they'll be, listening to and hearing about, and decisions, recommendations we'd like to get from them. So in order to do that, we find it very important to get them really immersed in our world. So that's going to take some time.
So it'll be a little bit before we start getting recommendations from the committee and things like that.
And that's
I know-
partially why we're staggering those terms too,
That-
because it's a big learning curve in the beginning, but yeah.
I would agree. The committee, is this considered to be an ongoing committee? Just
it is.
as same as maybe other standing committees?
Yep,
Okay,
that's the
very
intention.
good. And will we limit it to people in the service area? Because this is a citywide concern. Is it open to anybody who's a resident of Goodyear to be
Yep,
considered?
so it is open. We are looking to get the majority in the service area because we'll be looking at rates as well, capital
Okay.
projects, needs for the department. But we do leave that open to others that are outside of the service area and maybe even outside of the city for those other or whether they're a business owner or maybe a property management company that has property in the service area.
And regarding the previous committee's recommendations, I know that they were vetted through city employees and even prior to bringing them to council before, so I'm sure you'll engage your internal resources as well to manage expectations and things like that. So, Manu, I'm very excited that we're doing this, and thank you for bringing it forward.
Thank you. Councilmember Loretano?
I want to also thank you for bringing it forward. I think this is really important and really timely that we do discuss water, and I think it's also a great way to tell our story to the committee members and let them also kind of tell the story of Goodyear and our water here in Goodyear, because unfortunately right now, a news clip on the media doesn't always tell the right story of what we have here. So I think this is a great way to really tell that story. So I appreciate it, and I look forward to meeting your committee members.
Yeah, I don't know how much more to add on, except you're at the forefront now. I mean, water is the key, and we want to make sure that we get the right message out there, because unfortunately, sometimes the message isn't exactly correct. So we want to make sure we get that out there, and I'm a firm believer, I'm sure like the vice mayor, a drop saved is one you don't have to pump. So anything we can figure out a way of conserving, even on maybe some of the recommendations, we get away from actually real grass to more fake grass in some of our development, as opposed to things that need less water. Maybe it's even on how we landscape now, even and maybe on our right-of-ways, that more water drought type of resistant plants. So again, really looking forward to what you kind of come up with. I would like to so see a balance, because the fact that you're going to be dealing with rates, I really think it's important that not everybody be in our rate paying systems, but they have a substantial input, because they're going to control and make recommendations on rate and the capital improvements that are going to be needed for our system as well. And any commercial owners that are also a part of there as well. So, and I'm sure you'll have balance in there. But yeah, you're at the right time right now, and it's water's going to be really big kind of going forward. So with that, do I have a motion and a second? Can we go ahead and open up the voting, please? Passes 7-0. Thank you. Does the city council have any comments, commendations, reports on current events? See none. How about the city manager?
I have some tonight, Mayor. We held our Goodyear Farmers Market on Sunday. 3,500 people enjoyed 80 local and diverse vendors. In 4 hours, vendors generated $87,577, an approximate $40,000 increase from the first farmers market. So it's very busy. The next market will take place at Goodyear Civic Square on Sunday, July 30th from 5 to 9.
That's awesome, because when I'm out there in the public, I hear great things about that farmer's market.
Yeah.
People love it.
Yeah,
So, yeah, that's awesome, that report there.
Also, Mayor, I want to mention that we will be closed. The library and City Hall will be closed on the Tuesday, the 4th, in observance of the 4th of July holiday. And police services, fire services will operate as normal, but no trash, recycling, or bulk service, waste service. They'll just be delayed by 1 day, so just kicking it off. And then I do want to invite everybody to celebrate Independence Day at the Goodyear Ballpark. Gates open at 6 p.m. Festivities continue until 10 p.m. The event is free, parking is free, and 2 live bands, food, drinks, and bouncy houses will be there.
Yeah, the only request is for the kickoff when we speak, we got to get the band to learn how to play you-know-which song, so.
Yes, yes, we do.
We get that kind of going, right?
Yes.
All right, with that, let's see, like to call a special meeting to order for June 26, 2023. Will the city clerk please check the roll call? Okay, a vote may be held to call an executive session for the following pursuant to ARS 38-431.03A34, discussion and consultation with the city attorney for legal advice to consider its position and instruct its attorney regarding the city's position regarding contracts that is subject of negotiations related to possible development agreement with King Ranch. Please enter a motion in a second. We got a motion and a second. Open the voting. 7-0, we adjourned into executive session.